Hi BookTube, it's Connie. Hopefully third time's the charm because I've been trying to make this video. So I've got a book haul for you, both library books and a couple books that I've purchased over the last month. So I'm going to get started really quick because my camera keeps shutting off on me and I'm not really sure why. So the first book is a book that I'm currently reading for my book club. It's called A Land More Kind Than Home. It's by Wiley Cash. I just started it today on audio and I will say that I really like it so far. It's for a curious boy like Jess Hall. Growing up in Marshall means trouble when your mother catches you spying on grown-ups. Adventurous and precocious Jess is enormously protective of his older brother Christopher, a mute whom everyone calls Stump. Though their mother has warned them not to snoop, Stump can't help sneaking a look at something he's not supposed to, an act that will have catastrophic repercussions, shattering both his world and Jess's. It's a wrenching event that thrusts Jess into an adulthood for which he's not prepared. So, Jess, I think is, I don't know if he's 9 or 11 in this book. I think he's 8 or 9. And I will say the second chapter was told by his perspective, and I really liked it. It's so far so good, so I'm hoping I'll enjoy the rest of this book. Second library book that I checked out was a Book of the Month pick last month or a few months ago. No, I think this past month. And I didn't pick it up because I could get it at the library, so I put it on hold. It's The Child by Fiona Barton. This is a mystery involving the skeleton of a child that's found, and I think that the main character in this is the journalist that was in her book, The Widow, which I read a couple months ago. The journalist is Kate Waters, who was also in The Widow. So it's told, I think, from her perspective as she does investigative journalism regarding the skeleton that's found. This was another Book of the Month choice, but it wasn't what I picked because I could get it from the library, and it's called The Windfall. And it's about an Indian couple who are going into their golden years, and they think that they're all set in life, and then they come into a large sum of money, and they move from their poor neighborhood into the richer neighborhood, I guess it's about them trying to fit in. And this book was written by Diksha Basu. So I hear it's kind of a light read, I think. It's supposed to be a little bit funny, so I'm hoping I'll enjoy that one. And now, my library books that I have. Here's one other one. I don't know if I talked about this last month, but it was the Oprah's book club pick. It's Behold the Dreamers. I know absolutely nothing about this book. Jinde Janga, a Cameroonian immigrant living in Harlem, has come to the United States to provide a better life for himself and his wife, Nini, and their 6-year-old son. In the fall of 2007, Jinde can hardly believe his luck when he lands a job as a chauffeur for Clark Edwards, a senior executive at Lehman Brothers. Clark demands punctuality, discretion, and loyalty, and Jinde is eager to please. Clark's wife, Cindy, even offers Nene temporary work at the Edwards' summer home in the Hamptons. So, I don't usually like to read the whole thing. I like to go into books not knowing very much, but I tend to like Oprah's book club picks, so I picked that up. And now, we're going to get into my project, which is that the Man Booker was, long list came out this past week or last week. So I got as many books as I could from the library that I wanted to read. I'm not reading all of the long list. I've read, I think 2, maybe 3. I've read Exit West. I didn't really like it. It was okay. And then I've read Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad, which I did like. So this first book that I'm really excited about is The History of Wolves. All I know about it is that it follows a young girl who's living in the northern part of Minnesota. I think she has kind of a rough life. They're a little bit poor. I don't know if it's really a coming-of-age novel, but I'll find out when I read it. I've heard really good things about it. Another one is an author that I have never read, but I'm going to give her a try, and I've heard things about this book. It's Allie Smith, Autumn. And this one is Autumn, Season of Mist and Mellow Fruitfulness. That's what it felt like for Keats in 1919. How about autumn 2016? Daniel is a century old. Elizabeth, born in 1984, has her eye on the future. And the United Kingdom is in pieces, divided by a historic, once-in-a-generation summer. Love is won, love is lost. Hope is hand in hand with hopelessness. The seasons roll round as ever. So I hear that she's going to be doing this as... I think that she's going to be coming out with a book called Winter and another one called Spring and then another one called Summer. I may be wrong on that, but I thought I heard a booktuber say that. Another Smith that's on the long list that I've been wanting to read and have not read before is Zadie Smith, Swing Time. I hear mixed reviews about Zadie Smith. Some people love her, but a couple people I've watched on BookTube have kind of been her previous books. But this one is about a friendship. Two black girls, two brown girls dream of being dancers, but only one, Tracy, has talent. The other has ideas about rhythm and time, about black bodies and black music, what constitutes a tribe or makes a person truly free. It's a close but complicated childhood friendship that ends abruptly in their early 20s, never to be revisited, but never quite forgotten either. So I actually think that sounds like a really good book. So hopefully I'll like that. And the last on the long list that I have, Paul Auster, 4321. This follows 4 possible lives of the same person, the same boy. Archibald Isaac Ferguson, born March 3rd, 1947, and Paul Auster takes you through 4 separate lives. Kind of like the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow and Ben Affleck. And now, my book of the books that I've purchased, my book of the month pick for this past month, I think July, was Final Girls. And this just kind of reminded me of like an 80s slasher movie. The Final Girls are girls that were the only survivors of a massacre. So, and it's supposed to follow, I think I'm not sure. I think it's a horror kind of book. So, 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone, the only survivor of a horror movie scale massacre. In an instant, she became a member of a club no one wants to belong to, a group of similar survivors known in the press as the Final Girls. So, I think something happens to them and they have to survive it. I'm not 100% sure. But it reminded me of the 80s slasher movies that I grew up watching. Another book that I picked up was Startup by Dori Shafrir. The only thing I know about this is it takes place in the tech industry. It was a Book of the Month Club. Wasn't my pick for Book of the Month, but it was one of your choices. And I ended up adding it on, I think, this past month. So I always like books that take place in the tech industry. This one I'm really excited about. It was, I don't know if it was on the short list. I know it was long list for the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. It's called Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. It takes place in Africa. All I know is that it's about a woman who is having trouble conceiving, and it deals with her relationship, I think, with a neighbor and her husband's family, and how society sees women, and especially in Africa, and how they judge women and think that women are supposed to get pregnant and have families and be mothers, and it kind of deals with her feelings about this and how other people judge her, how she judges herself. So yeah, I thought that sounded interesting, and I've heard wonderful things about that. Now this book was the winner of the Bailey's Prize, Women's Prize for Fiction, and it's called The Power. It's by Naomi Alderman. The only thing I know about this book is that women somehow come into some sort of power that makes them stronger than men, and what happens to the world afterwards. This was highly recommended by Mercedes on Mercy's Bookish Musings. It's called Tin Man. I just got this in the mail today, so I'm really excited. It's by Sarah Winman, I know absolutely nothing about it, but I know that Mercedes said it was she really liked it, and I've read a couple of her books, The Clay Girl being one that I just really loved. So I thought I would take her on her word for that one. And last but not least, The Trespasser by Tana French. This was an add-on for me at Book of the Month. I've read 2 Tana French books. She writes these books where you have the main character and then she has these peripheral characters. And then what she does is she takes one of those peripheral characters and she makes them the main character of her next book. I'm actually probably going to read, I think I need to read 2 other Tana French books before I get to this one because I'm not sure who this detective is. I hadn't read. You probably don't have to do that. But this is following Detective Antoinette Conway. It's been a couple years since I read Tana French, but I don't recall that name. So anyways, that is my book haul. Books I'll be reading over the next couple months. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.